Welcome to The Pretense of Justice with hosts Carmen and Roland, where we discuss legal and current events, controversial issues, and all things of justice as we advocate for injustice. Let the justice begin. Okay, we are live. So let me unmute. Sorry, my mute is acting up, so I apologize. Okay, we should be good now. We are live.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us with the Pretense of Justice. And we have two very special guests with us this evening. And we also have Mr. Carter. He's back. He's a little under the weather. It's allergy weather time. And I will kick it to Roland so you can say hey, since you've been missing in action for a little while.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Roland Carter. I'm the president of the board of Helping Ourselves to Transform, and I'm a podcast member here on Pretense of Justice. And thank you for that introduction leading into this, Dr. Carmen Johnson. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so Miss Rhonda, who is our engineer of our podcast, by the way, do you want to go ahead and read the introduction to our guests, or do you want me to? What do you want me to do?
I can read it. So I want to welcome our guests, Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. I want to thank you for your time and absolutely thank you for sharing your story with us tonight. It is very important, and we truly appreciate you, and it's an honor for you trusting us to tell your story. I am going to read a little bit of information on your son, Kareem Wilson Jr. Kareem Wilson Jr. is a 15-year-old who began his heavenly journey on February 1st, 2022. He was an intelligent, aspiring rapper, athlete, and all-around likable kid. He loved Michael Jackson and was a good dancer. Unfortunately, he hung around the wrong crowd. Moreover, he was surrounded by people who failed to protect him from a wayward activity. The end result was the loss of his life. Kareem was a charismatic teen. He had a love for boxing and began training at the age of 3. He at some point used those skills outside the ring in the streets, which earned him a reputation. His stature commanded everyone's attention, and of course, like most teenage young men, he had developed an interest in the young ladies. His transition to his teenage years wasn't without trouble. At times, we were at odds. We didn't always see eye to eye. We loved him. We particularly enjoyed spending time with him. He was a miniature version of his father. However, there isn't a day that goes by that we don't miss his presence. And I will turn it over to you, Dr. Carmen.
That is such a moving introduction, and my heart go out to you and your family, Tracy and Mr. Wilson. And I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourselves. And the first question I would want you guys to kind of talk about is what made you finally agree to come on The Pretense of Justice, because I've been asking you since last year, and I know it's been difficult But I was so honored when you said something last week, and I'm like, yes, so yeah. So I pass it to you, Ms. Tracy.
So first, thank you for the opportunity. We love to get a chance to share the story and talk about our son. I really want my husband to speak because I think he has a message, especially for parents who are out there, especially those who are grieving, because it's not a day that goes by that we don't miss his presence. And so I think what led me to encourage him to do this is that he is very passionate about how his son was unjustly, his case was handled in the court system, and some of the antics that were used to it was almost like, well, he's dead, he's not here. We're just worrying about this other young man who's living. Not really. And I realized that 2 lives were destroyed that day, but one of them doesn't get a second chance, and his other child does. And it was just the way that it was sort of prosecuted, and some of the things that were done behind the scenes that weren't shared with the family that brought on concern. And so we just want other families to be aware, especially with this new rage of violence that's happening amongst our teenage youth, and just so that people are not surprised, but are informed about what could possibly happen.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah. Hello, how y'all doing? Thanks for having me. I truly appreciate it. My son, Kareem Wilson Jr., that was my baby, my twin, my namesake. He was everything to me. I miss him all day, every day. All I do is talk about him and look at his pictures. And every time I think about him, it brings tears to my eyes because, it's sad, man, that they had to take my baby away, and they took him away for nothing. But getting into the story, yes, he won't get a second chance. But this guy, Victor Levi Munoz, will get a second chance. They gave him a juvenile waiver, and they're going to put him away until he's 21. But he might get out when he's 18 or 19. Who knows? If he go down there and he put on a front like he's programming and like he's learning, of course, they'll fall for it and they'll let him out. So, Kareem was wrongly unjust. They gave Kareem a reputation around there because of his friends and his family. Mainly his friends. They were around there. His friends were around there jumping people. They were robbing people. His brother and them was doing home invasions. They were locked up for multiple robbery counts, first degree and second degree assault counts, theft, higher theft counts, firearms. They're all in videos. Jumping up, holding guns on YouTube and all the type of stuff. And on this particular night, Kareem was in his house, and going back to February 1st, Kareem was in his house in 2022. And he was in his house. He just got the phone with the curfew people because he was doing everything they asked him to do. He hadn't been convicted yet of the crime that he was picked up for, maybe a couple of months later, a crime that his brother and them had did. A crime, that they had did, that his brother and them had did, and Kareem ended up getting caught up in it. So Kareem did everything that they was asking him to do while he was out on pretrial diagnostic. And he walked out. He all of a sudden, his friend, which his mother had took in, had called Victor about this marijuana, and Victor called a young woman and asked her would she take him to Kareem's friend that his mother had took in, because he had nowhere to go because his mother passed away. So they came. The friend went outside to go and purchase this marijuana that he so-called claimed he wanted. But when they got there, he said he only had $10. Can y'all help me download Cash App to give y'all another $20? But he told them specifically on the phone that he wanted $30 worth. But then when they got there, he switched the whole thing up because he already knew in his mind that he was going to rob Victor and that girl that he brung around that night. And while he was at the car trying to negotiate, Kareem came outside after he got on the phone with the Curfew people after he just got finished eating pizza, according to his mom. So Kareem walked outside, and right when I guess he was walking up to say hello, how you doing or whatever, all of a sudden, that's when Dern, I'm assuming that Dern was already had his gun through the window, and Kareem can't see what's going on in front of Dern. Because as far as Kareem, I'm just going outside to go, say hello, how you doing, what's up, go outside to get some air. Kareem ain't know that Dern was trying to rob them. And so, with that being said, Kareem basically, he walked right into it. The friend got shot first when Kareem was beside him. And when Kareem was trying to get away, Kareem got hit in his left arm and it went through his ribs. And it must have traveled all up in here in his torso. Then he got hit in the back and it came out in his lower abdomen. So those two more bullets was for the guy, the friend who was trying to rob them. And so another part of the scenario too was that Kareem's brother was on a run from a lot of people in Prince George's County and in that neighborhood. So the mother sent him out of town, and she let him come back in town on the 31st of January. And then the next day on the 1st, that's when this happened. So that's what lets me know that it was never about my son. That also lets me know that if the friend who his mother took in, if he would have been man enough to tell Kareem's brother, nah, you go outside and get that stuff for yourself, because that's more than likely that's probably who wanted it, because he's a chronic drug user. He's on marijuana, very bad. If he would have went outside by himself, it would have been him instead of Kareem and instead of the other little boy getting shot. And that's how I believe that it happened.
Right. So the reason why the Pretense of Justice know that this is a very important podcast, this is one of our most important ones, is because we're always doing podcasts about the unjust. People that, go to jail for things they didn't do and stuff like that. And so, since, if you're looking at the news, all of this stuff is going on for like the last year and things of that nature. And so we thought that it would be great to hear from the victim's family, the victim side of things. And so that was that is the purpose of this window opening, so people can know what families feel, what that suffering looks like, what it feels like to have their son or daughter taken away from them, like how Kareem was taken away from you guys. And I just wanted to just to share that with the audience. Yeah.
Yeah, I truly appreciate that. Yeah, I just wanted to state the first part of it, how it happened. Mm-hmm. And if I went back to everything that led up to this moment, I'm sure you all would definitely agree that this wasn't for Kareem. If Kareem wouldn't have came outside, he would still be here. And personally, I believe that whether Kareem's brother would have came back in town or not, the one who his mother took in, he already had in his mind that he was going to try to pull a 211 on these people that night, regardless. And so when I do the math, somebody was going to end up having revenge taken on them either way it would have went. Because my son still was going to school with the girl who brung Victor to where they lived. So my son still would have been hit probably with a blindside either way it go. Right? For something he still ain't had nothing to do with. Something and then the part that get me is that they want to, this happened in front of his mom's house. And she didn't tell us nothing about what was going on around him, the kind of people who was around him, what his brothers and them was doing around him. She didn't tell us anything. I wish I could get real deep and truth with you on here. I don't know how much more. I don't know how much I can say on here. That's why I haven't said a lot. But they tried to make Kareem look like the aggressor in this case. They tried to say that Kareem pulled a gun out and put it to Victor's head. And that Victor told everybody else to run. And then somehow Victor pulled his gun out and shot Kareem twice and then shot Durham, which I know that ain't how it happened. Because I know my son, I know the child that I raised him to be. And I know while all kids are not perfect, I do know this much. I know that my son, Kareem Wilson Jr., did not try to rob him. He would not try to do nothing where his mother lived at. And I know that he wouldn't do nothing like that. I know that without even being there, because I know the son that I raised him to be. I raised him to be a positive, great young man. I wanted him to be, better than Floyd Mayweather. I wanted him to be better than Michael Jordan, Jerry Rice, whoever, Lawrence Seller, whoever, whether it was Carl Lewis, if he wanted to be better than Martina Navratilova, whoever he wanted to be better than. I wanted him to be great at whatever he wanted to do.
So do you think race had a factor in the prosecution of this case?
Yes, I did. I believe that because, am I allowed to say the prosecutors' names?
I wouldn't.
Okay, because I would love to. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah. One of them was white, one of them was Indian, and the other one, she's white too. And to me, it was like they were just all about Victor Levi Munoz. Victor Levi Munoz is Spanish or Mexican. And it was like they were just all about him. They didn't care nothing about my son being killed. They dragged their feet about it. They kept postponing the case. They kept saying it's going to be this day. You tune in, coming to find out they moved it to 2:00 that evening. Then when 2:00 come, now they moved it to 3:30. Then it's supposed to be the other day, they don't do nothing. So, but then, like around about right before summer, they called me telling me that he's going to plead guilty to second-degree murder and he's going to receive a juvenile waiver. There's nothing we can do about it. We were going to lose either way because of his age, and because of the new law, they want to kick it back to the juvenile court. And because the prosecutor's white, and because the homicide, because of the homicide, the person over homicide is Indian or whatever, I believe that they all just said, we're going to help Victor get out of here because he's close to them in race and complexion. And we're going to make Kareem look like the bad guy. So we're going to stereotype Kareem because he's black. And we're going to make this guy look like the less aggressive person. Make it like it was self-defense. And to make it so bad, the child who was taken in by Kareem's mother, who caused this to happen, he also, to save his own self, so he won't end up with Kareem's accessory to Kareem's murder, and so he won't end up with robbery, he put all the blame on Kareem too.
And the interesting thing, I think, at the beginning of the case was he always had to have an interpreter. So every time they would have a case, after about a month, they had to extradite him from Baltimore. They go get him. So he admitted that he did it, I guess, in meeting his lawyer that day. So he couldn't get out of the fact that he had already said, yes, I did it. But then it came up with, well, every time he has a court case, he has to have an interpreter. So it went from, do you understand? And it was kind of this like slow progression of the case, especially with getting his workup. The workup was rescheduled 2 or 3 times. And then when they finally got it done, by the time we got to juvenile court, it was like it was no need for an interpreter. All of a sudden, he could understand everything that was going on. So I don't know if he had some revelation from the adult court to the juvenile court, but it was no interpreter. And there might have been somebody there who spoke Spanish, but it wasn't well, do you understand this? Blah, translation. It wasn't all the other things that they were kind of throwing out there at the initial start of the case.
Yeah, I've sat in over 5,600 court hearings since February 4th, 2020. And so they always ask, do you want an interpreter? And then once you get an interpreter, the interpreter sticks with you. You always have when you go to court. So I find that very interesting what you just said. The other thing is, for years I was, known in the community as a youth leader, and so, hearing, your story of your son, it makes me feel confused. And, right now I'm working on juveniles that are being held in solitary confinement. And, and then it was a piece of legislation that I think it was Senator Jill Carter was trying to get passed to stop charging juveniles as adults. However, now I'm confused because when I hear a story like y'all's story, it really makes me think, wow, where do I stand in terms of the youth? You know what I mean? Because I certainly do not want to, for anyone to be hurt or feel hurt. And it's like, listening to the details of the story, it's just the details of what happened is really heart-wrenching for me and is really confusing. However, I can say to you that just about all the youth that look like us are pretty much charged as adults, and then the attorney or the public defender have to fight to get them transferred to a a juvenile court. And so for this, young man who did this to your son, I can only say that I have to agree with what you guys are saying. Like, they didn't take care or cared about what happened, but if it would have been reversed, it would have been a different outcome.
Yeah, I think that as my husband would say at the beginning, he used to always say they were going around there to do bad and more bad happened.
Yeah.
Because these are all, 15 to 17-year-olds, right? They are selling narcotics, whether it's weed or not, and people say, oh, it's legal. But these are kids shouldn't even have access to it. And so to know that initially the story was kind of like, oh, he was going to get pizza. He was going to get Chipotle. And we're like, it doesn't sound right.
Oh, yeah.
Something's not right about that, right?
Oh, yeah.
But then once it happened, I immediately figured to myself what it was, but I didn't want to say, that I thought it was some type of drugs or weed. It just sounded like it to me. But also with that was in listening to other evidence that we've heard, it's like they came in investigating with a point of view. So it was a subjective point of view. It wasn't like, let's look at the evidence. They kind of just had a story and they made all the evidence fit their story. And because there was no one to refute it, i.e. our deceased son, it was okay. And so, like I said, all the conversations, whenever there was a hearing around sentencing or anything, was more or less about the murderer's outcome. It wasn't on the loss of life that he took. And so my theory is, to your confusion, and I get it, but it's like everybody knows right from wrong. So there's a whole theory around young people and their development of their brains at 26 and all that. And I get all of that. But at the end of the day, fundamentally, we all know right from wrong. And so the outcome of that, really, honestly, something based on what was transpiring was going to happen to somebody. And it's unfortunate because nobody, including the kids that rode over there in that car, ever thought of what that outcome could possibly be.
Yes. And to add to what she just said, when it first happened, we were all in the lobby at the United Medical Hospital in Largo, Maryland. We were all in the lobby. We all sitting there. His mother, Kareem's mom, don't know what happened. His older brother don't know what happened. Some lady who child was friends with Kareem don't know what happened. So all of a sudden, my mother and my aunt come up. I haven't seen them in almost 13 years because I totally cut them off. Had nothing else to say to them about nothing. So I'm sitting there. All of a sudden, the brother who was sent out of town because he was being hit, and I'm gonna get into that part, came in there with blood, with Kareem's blood all over him from head to toe. Yeah. So he come in there and open the door and slam the door and try to make itself fall down in the corner real hard to try to make itself cry. But I saw all the way through that. I looked at my mother and my aunt, I said, something ain't right about this. I said it to them in a way where they understood my lip motion. And so I'm sitting there watching everything and I'm just like, So all of a sudden, I'm trying to go up there because I know I can't see Kareem because they had already sent Kareem to Baltimore to the autopsy center because his body is a crime scene. So they tried to save Kareem on site. They was pumping his chest and everything, but Kareem was already gone home with God. So they sent Kareem on to Baltimore. But they sent the other boy to United Medical. And I was trying to go upstairs to see him. And Kareem's mother kept making all type of excuses as to why I can't go up there and see him. As to why my mother can't go up there and see him. As to why my aunt can't go up there and see him. So at that point, I was like, yeah, something ain't right. But all of a sudden, 15 minutes later, she was able to go up there and see the other boy who got shot, which he was 19 years old.
So the other young man lived, is that it?
Yes, he lived with them because his mother passed away.
No, he lived. Yes, he did not die.
He lived, yeah.
But he wasn't charged either.
Right. He wasn't charged. He got shot in the right side of the chest and everything. But he the one that caused this, though.
He didn't come in to testify against the person?
No.
Yeah, he didn't necessarily probably have to, because at the arraignment hearing, when they extradited him from Baltimore, the defendant admitted that he killed them. They then later said, "Oh, it was self-defense," but it really wasn't. It really wasn't, because if you, and here's why: even if he wanted to claim that, I think when usually when people commit a crime or some act of something, violation of something, they go to a lawyer or they go to the police. It was 30 days later and they had to go get him from Baltimore. So if you felt like it was self-defense, whoever this lawyer was that produced himself 30 days later that his family acquired, they should have got him that night, the next day, and took him into the police station and said, "Hey, a horrible thing has happened." Then you might think, well, maybe, it was an accident. Maybe something didn't go right. But something didn't go right, but it wasn't because it just didn't go right. It was because they were over there doing something wrong.
Yeah. Right. So when she managed to get upstairs to see Dern, she came back downstairs 15, 20 minutes later. Talking about, he told me this, y'all. He told me that him, Kareem's brother, and Kareem was all at the car. Kareem was talking to the girl because he knew the girl. The girl used to live next door to them in this apartment complex down the street called Spring Hill Lake Apartments before they moved up a street to Glen Oaks. Glen Oaks is off of Mandan Lane. Spring Hill Lake is off of Greenbelt Road. So she came downstairs and said the girl was talking to Kareem because she knew Kareem. And all of a sudden, it was two guys in the car. And suddenly, here comes the ambush. Mm-hmm. The guy aimed out the window to do Kareem's brother. But the one who got taken in, who basically got adopted, suddenly, I guess saw what happened, was like, "Oh my God." And he said he pushed Kareem's brother out of the way, and then he got shot in the right side of the chest. And then because Kareem was close to the girl on the driver's side, Kareem got shot twice. For some reason, I really believe that's the real story. I don't believe it was about no 211. 211 means it's a robbery. That's what 211 means. Just in case if I may have confused you there. That's what 211 means.
I say, what is 211? Okay.
Yeah. So I believe that story, and this is why. Because back in 2020 and 2021, Kareem's brother was around there and Prince George's County robbing people, doing home invasions and all that type of stuff. But before all that, he had owed some guy $150 for some marijuana. And he wasn't trying to pay the guy. So the guy pulled up around there, shot out his window. He started running. The guy got out the car, supposedly in broad daylight, from what I'm hearing from people. I didn't see it for myself, but from what I'm hearing from people who know him and knew that he was a bad influence on Kareem, Benzo Kareem was his little brother, said the guy pulled up, shot at him, then got out of the car, started chasing him, shooting at him in broad daylight while people walking past, while cars driving past, everything. The guy just kept chasing him, trying to get him. And so then the guy ended up, so Kareem's brother ran all the way to their mother's house, made it in the house miraculously. How he did that, it's unbelievable how he got away like that without getting hit. So the guy thought the front window and the balcony was the front window and the balcony to Kareem and the mother's apartment. Because I guess, I'm assuming it's a 4-unit on each floor apartment building. So if you got apartment right here and you got apartment like this, you know what I'm saying? If you got one right here and got one like this, automatically you're probably going to think that front window belongs to that apartment because you saw him run straight in the right corner apartment or whatever it was. And so the guy shot out the front window and shot out the balcony glass, and come to find out, the balcony glass and front window belonged to one of the staff members who worked down the recreation center in Greenbelt. So it didn't stop there though for Kareem's brother. He got away that day. Then somehow he stole his mother's gun. Him and his co-defender was all over there in Prince George's County robbing people. Him and these group of guys who they call themselves this particular gang. So suddenly that failed on him because him and one of them co-defendants of his got locked up for it. His mother paid a surety bond for him to get out. That's where she found out that he had her gun the whole time. So at that point, she sent him down south with his dad. Down there, he had to be a man and he had to grow up. So with that being said, he didn't want to be down there because he couldn't do what he wanted to do down there. His father family, very old school, they're not going for that. They country people. So they're not going to let you misbehave how you want to misbehave down there. Down there, see, we're going to get a job, we're going to go back to school, we're going to fly right, or we ain't going to do nothing at all. But here's the catch to all that, though. He got a baby boy. I want to ask you this, miss. If I was your son, right? And I got a baby boy, which is your grandson. Are you able to send me out of town to have me down there with my father without taking my baby boy with me?
I mean, maybe the usually, especially when they're young, the baby is with the baby mama normally. No? Yeah.
Yeah. I get that part.
And how old is the young man? The
20, he in his 20s, probably 23, 24, or 25. And you mean to tell me I can't take my baby boy with me? But that right there tells you that his mother knew somebody was going to get him. So I'm assuming when she dropped him off at the bus stop or the bus station, she didn't want the child in the car with them just in case if whoever's trying to get him
So is this his mother or his baby's mother?
His mother.
Okay.
Him and Kareem's mother, yeah.
Okay. And so and they were half brothers.
No.
Kareem and full brothers?
Kareem and the brother that everybody was after, they are blood brothers because they come from Kareem's mother. They come from the same mother.
But they got different fathers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Their father from down south, I'm from up here. I'm Kareem's father, and their father is down south.
Okay.
So,
have you talked to him since?
No, I don't even want to talk to them at all because I know deep down in my heart, they are the reason why Kareem is no longer here. Bottom line, it's no and that. It ain't up for debate. I know that Kareem passed away because him, and it was meant for him that night. He so-called claimed that he didn't come outside. He came outside and the tail end of it. I don't believe that because somebody in the neighborhood said on the phone, called dispatch, that 4 people ran from the car. That's how I know. And with everything that led up to the moment, that's how I know that he had everything to do with my son passing away. And so, going back to the story, he didn't want to do right down there. And so, he cried and begged, and his mother let him come back. She let him come back on the 31st of January. And the very next day on the 1st, that's when this happened. So, I gave you both scenarios. Which one do you believe?
I'm still naive to the fact of our youth are this ruthless. And, and I, had conversation with, some of the council members and others. And I'm just like, it can't be true. And so to hear this, I'm just in shock.
Yeah.
I'm like, shooting at each other and all kinds of stuff like that. Like, I'm just in shock.
Yeah.
Roland, what's your thought?
Well, I'm paying close attention. I would like to read the case and because, we know who's writing the case. And I would like to see and compare it to what Brother Wilson just said. The sad part about all of it is the system that we live under. It's not dealing with right or wrong. It's dealing with who they can convict, and they don't, and sometimes they just simply don't care. They don't care, and it needs a little bit more research. But the other problem is that people won't speak up, the people who were on the scene. And that's where it all is. And they holding on to it. And hopefully one day you'll get that answer. Eventually it will come out. Eventually it will come out, and hopefully you can make peace with that and continue to allow your son to live through you and raise him up, raise his name up, so that these things won't happen again to some other child out here. Because right now we're dealing with, it is And I mean, I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I used to be in the streets myself. And the way they are today, it is just unbelievable. But we still got to try to do something to help to alleviate the problem, because it starts with us too, But hopefully and eventually you will get that answer, and hopefully you can utilize the answer to move things along to where they need to be and get justice for all others.
Yeah. I tell my wife all the time, right? I do want to be a trailblazer. No lie. I would love to be a Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or Medgar Evers or Harriet Tubman. I mean, I would love to be the reason why they get rid of this juvenile waiver and this whole juvenile law they got going on. I would love to be a part of that run. Yeah, I say that all the time. I would love to be a part of that. I would say that in grievance council one day. I would love to be a part of that. I just wish I had a bunch of parents around me who was willing to take that run with me. Because I can't do it all by myself. It got to be more than one voice heard here. But I guess I'll cross that bridge when I get there, But I'm going to let God bring me and those people together. Somehow, some way it'll happen. Because I can't be a lone voice. Lone voice ain't going to get it. Yeah, I'm very intelligent. Yeah, I know how to talk. I know how to speak. I know how to write. But still, though, I can't do it all by myself. I can't.
It's funny because
hold on for a minute. If you don't mind, I wanted to say one more thing to Roland. Well, he can hear me. Roland, you were saying you wanted to see the case, you said? Hello?
Yes, sir. I want to see what the case saying, because you gonna always find the discrepancies in the case from the court. You will find all of the discrepancies somewhere along the line.
I have everything for you. If I can ever meet you in person, I got the whole crime scene evidence, the whole body cam video, everything they were talking about that night, and when they interviewed the girl. I got it all. The only thing I don't have is when they interviewed the one who actually tried to do this and it backfired on him. The brother who everybody was after. And make it so bad, at the crime scene, please hear this, both of y'all, please hear this. At the crime scene, this alleged gun that they saying that my son had, guess who the gun belonged to? The gun belongs to Kareem's older brother who do armed security. He claimed they had stole his gun one time before. He got it back. This time you claim your gun was missing for 3 days, and then this happened, and you ain't know your gun was missing? What kind of security guard are you? You don't keep up with your tools? Like, wow, I did construction 16 years. I kept up with all my stuff. I never lost a hard hat, nothing. I do the same kind of work he do now. I've been doing the last almost probably 7 years now. And I have not lost a duty belt, a baton, a mace, or a handcuff, or nothing, or a firearm yet. I keep up with my stuff because that's my responsibility to always be to put my eyes on my stuff, because that's how I make my money. And if something happens with that firearm, I can be in trouble for it. So I always keep up with my stuff. So yeah. So at the scene that night, he claimed he didn't know that was his gun. The whole time when they were in that lobby, his mother and them knew his gun was there. That's why she didn't want us to go upstairs to talk to the boy who tried it, because she knew that he was going to tell us the truth. That's why she made all them excuses as to why she didn't want us to go up there. She kept telling me, he don't really know you like that, Kareem. I say, excuse me? I used to date his mother in junior high school. I know his whole family before he was even thought of. So please, I knew it was something. I knew it was something that she was trying to hide. I knew it. I felt that when I was sitting in that locker.
Wow.
You know, all the stuff about Chipotle and pizza. I said, the only way food can get somebody killed is if the pizza driver or the food delivery person got a concealed carry on him and you try to rob him, and then that can happen. But if y'all just trying to order food, how did food turn into murder? So that's how I knew something wasn't right about this. It's a piece. Like I always tell my wife, it's like a puzzle. It's a piece that's missing to this. I just don't know what it is, but I know it got something to do with his mother. I know it. I can feel it. It's something about this whole scenario. The one piece of the scenario is missing. I hate to get so excited when I'm talking. I'm sorry, but something about this. It just ain't right. And if you're saying that my son did this, I asked him for fingerprints, evidence. They ain't got none of my son's fingerprints on the gun. The gun wasn't on my son or near my son when he was laying there on that ground. They found both guns.
Who fingerprints was on the guns?
The way they making it sound like nobody's fingerprints is on those guns. Even the one that was used to kill my son. And also check this out. One Victor Muno's friend gave him that gun before he got there and said, hey, take my gun with you. You know selling drugs is a dangerous job. Bring my gun back, take care of me. You know what I mean? So that person ain't gonna be charged. You gave somebody an illegal gun that you don't have no license for, no concealed carry or HQL permit for. You have no type of license for it. You gave somebody a legal gun that was used to end up murdering somebody. And then you mean to tell me that the girl ain't gonna get conspiracy for bringing him around there? That's insane to me. I can't believe it. Like I've never heard that before. And I deep down in my heart, I know that girl brought them around there to get Kareem's brother. Because I can imagine when they was on the phone with the one that was adopted, who got shot as well, I can imagine that Kareem's brother was in the background talking. He probably was on the phone with him too. And so when they got that phone, they probably was like, oh, so-and-so trying to get some stuff. And they probably was like, who? So-and-so. Oh, he back around the corner? Oh yeah, we've been looking for him. Let's go around it. I truly believe that's why they're around there, to get Kareem's brother. And Kareem just so happened to get blindsided and caught blindsided.
So I have to ask you two questions. And well, first I want to make a comment to Roland. So I've been knowing Roland since we was real young. And, two of his kids are my godkids and everything. And back then, Roland, we was all just trying to have fun. So I'm confused. Where did the train go off the rails? Because we was just trying to have fun. And unless I'm in denial, but I don't remember no shootouts. I've never seen a shootout or anything like that. So I guess I'm just flabbergasted. And
well, right. I remember a time back in 1989. I was 20 years old. And it was in the summertime, it was the summer of 89. And we used to hang out uptown on a certain street. And one night we were staying at the phone booths like we do normally on Friday and Saturday nights before we decide to go to the go-go or whatever we wanted to do. And it was about 10 of us, 10, 11 of us staying on a corner. And then all of a sudden, two vehicles pulled up on a corner and started shooting at us. And we wasn't beefing with nobody. And a couple of my buddies got hit by street sweepers. Luckily, I got away, and a few of my other buddies got away, and then we got the rest of them got hit.
What's a street sweeper?
It's a shotgun, it's almost like a machine gun that shoots shotgun shells. Okay, so when they hit the ground, they bust open and they just bounce all over the place. Ooh. So that was an old school thing. Now, here's the thing. Later on, we come find out that a friend of ours had went to another neighborhood and robbed some people, and I think he even may have murdered one of the guys. So these guys was coming back up to where we lived at, didn't care, didn't know who it was. They just said they be up there on that part of Northwest, go air it out. And none of us had anything to do with it. And we found out probably about a month later of what happened and why them guys came up there and shot us. Now, we was 20.
Did you get shot? Did you get shot too?
No. We come find out that these dudes was almost 50 years old shooting at us. They was doing a revenge because of the brother or something like that. So the thing is, these things have been going on. It's just, you have the mentality now is it's 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds who are just, I don't know what's going on in their mind. Because even then, if we were beefing with another neighborhood or something like that, we never involved people who wasn't in the street. It was, if you in the game, you in the game. But is that sad? Yes, it is. But back then, we just wasn't doing random stuff like that. It just wasn't random. But the guys that came up, they had the I don't care attitude. Like Youngin that was sitting on Menace to Society when Old Dog was sitting in the car when they was going to look for them two dudes that killed the he was like, I don't care who out there. And what's the name said in the back, he said, look, man, I ain't killing no kids and no old folks. And then Lorenz Tate said, man, I don't care who out there. If they out there, they deserve to get shot. And see, that mentality, that's a bad mentality, but this is
it's wrong. Cold-hearted.
Yes, it's what we dealing with. The thing is, we have to find the solution. But first we have to find out where did the problem originate, because you can't keep dealing with the symptoms, because you can't cure the symptoms. You have to cure the cause. And that's what we have to do. But it's crazy out here.
But the thing is, I just want to, let everybody out there in the audience know, I didn't know Roland sat on the corner at 10 and 11 o'clock at night, because he is the one who introduced me to metaphysics and Islam, or I don't know what it was. Was it Islam? And introduced me to Islam?
Metaphysics. It was a whole bunch of stuff, but that was immature.
Marcus Garvey. When Malcolm X first came out by Spike Lee, we went and seen that like 15 times. So he was, even though I was older than him, he was like my little brother. But to hear you was on a corner at 10 o'clock at night, and I've been knowing you 30-something years, I'm confused, dude.
Well, that's a shock.
But remember now, we wasn't beefing with nobody. We just so happened to be standing up in a certain area, and them guys just didn't care. They didn't care. Only thing they know, somebody killed my brother. I don't care who out there. I'm gonna go up there and just dump on the whole block. Then I'm gonna ride up to the next block. If I see some guys out there, I'm gonna dump on them too. So it was, the thing was, you just have people who just don't care.
Yeah, who just want to just do something just because.
Yes.
They automatically assume that y'all has something to do with it. But you know what the moral of the story was? The story is, though, is that here's the similarity between what happened to my son and what almost happened to you and your friends who survived, and a friend who lost their life from your camp. You know what I mean? So you know, that friend of yours who went around there and did whatever he did, he ain't cared nothing about y'all. He didn't even come and tell y'all what he did. I mean, it'd been, you know, it ain't right what he did regardless. But he at least should have put y'all on point and told y'all, hey, I'm hot. I did this, I did that. Hey, man, don't be outside. Because they might come back, and they might come back looking for me, so I don't want them to get y'all. He ain't do that. And that's the same thing that Kareem brother did. I believe that Kareem didn't know nothing about it. I believe that Kareem's mother didn't tell Kareem about it. And also, when I go back to everything before this happened, 2021, when Kareem was arrested, when he got out that night and my mother went and got him, I was going to get him. I was going to leave my job at Fairfax to go get him. But my mother had already beat me there. They told me I had to worry about it. So on the phone, I asked Kareem, was anybody else with him? He said no. They locked him up for nothing. It was some kids outside. They ran. But just because Kareem was right there, Kareem got locked up. So what it was Kareem's mother probably told Kareem to not tell us that Ronald, I try not to say names. I hope this not, is this recorded?
No, this is live, but, you know, keep going. This is live.
It's live?
Yeah, this is live. This is live.
Okay.
Let me ask you something. What could you share with other grieving parents before we end the show? What could you share with other grieving parents, particularly fathers that are grieving?
I can share with them that, hey, you're not alone. I'm with you. I'm hurting. I'm here with you. And hey, I'm a grieving parent too. And you know, we all can get through this together. I mean, if y'all want to reach out to me and talk to me, I'm more than glad to talk to you. I'm more than glad to give you my shoulder too, to lean on, to cry on. You know, this is a bad situation. And we are a group of parents who have lost our young kids to gun violence, to stuff that just really should have never happened. Them being in the wrong place, wrong time. It's just bad. I just don't know what to say. This is just totally disgusting. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth every time I think about it. Every time I look up, some young aspiring rapper dead. It's like everybody want to be a rapper, and every time somebody want to be a rapper, they die. That's all been on news. That's all been on Instagram lately. Yeah. Young aspiring rappers from the local area dying. People being carjacked.
Well, I think one of the things that you and Ms. Tracy may want to consider is possibly starting a nonprofit or some type of fund or something for youth violence. That may be a good thing, and also possibly going around to different schools to talk to the youth about what gun violence, what violence look like, you know what I mean? And where it can lead them, because apparently either the youth think it's cute or they think it's not going to happen to them, or I don't know what they're thinking. But I can say with, helping ourselves to transform our nonprofit, we will be unveiling our youth program called the Youth Diversion and Leadership Program. And this has really changed my whole mindset. Like, I was not prepared to hear all of this. Like, I've been in this bubble. Like, I wrote a piece in my book about, hey, they're, locking up our babies and this and that. And then to hear that is worse than what I think. And how can I be so naive? And then what do I do? Like, how do I wrap my arms around all of these youth and just love them and give them whatever it is that they need in terms of spirituality, in terms of raising their frequencies and their vibrations? Like, what do I do? Now I have to rethink. After hearing this story, I have to rethink all the work that we and our college students have put into our curriculum. We have a young, our new director of our youth program, Miss Alexis Stevenson, and she's been working very, very diligently to pick. She's, I think, in her second year of Morgan, or maybe third year of Morgan State. And she's been working diligently to put this curriculum together. Now we're going to have to go back to the tables and think about things that me as an older woman have not thought about. I don't know.
And I totally agree with you. And instead of Kareem's mother and them wanting Kareem to come home that night, be dropped off at the house, they wanted my mother to drop him off at one of their other family members' house. So that lets me know that she was trying to save one, protect another, without my son knowing. And then when his older brother decided to get an apartment over there so Kareem could still go to school and so Kareem could still see his mother, because Kareem was running away from home a lot because something was going on in that house that wasn't sitting well with Kareem. When the older brother decided to move over there, that's when the other brother came back in town. And the next day, that's when all this happened.
And with that said, we are going to send prayers to you and your family and to Kareem. And I don't even feel right saying, hey, go to YouTube, go to Amazon, get my book, blah, 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 the thumbs up. I don't even feel like saying that tonight. You know what I'm saying? Just share the video, share the YouTube and listen to a family that's hurting from losing their young son to gun violence, to manipulation, to secrets, to trickery, to injustice.
Yeah. Because that's what it was. Because she had my phone number. She can call me. Although I didn't want to deal with my family no more, for whatever the reason were. Her and my oldest son's mother both have my numbers. I always told them to call me, keep me updated with what's going on with Kareem and my other son. She didn't do that. She was so busy trying to keep stuff away from me, it caused Kareem's life, because if I'm trying to keep stuff from you because I'm trying to save my face, and I don't want to looked at as a bad person, then that means if I'm lying to y'all and something happened to my child, that means I'm a contributing factor because I'm lying. And that's how he lost his life, because she wasn't being upfront with us, and they weren't telling us nothing.
Right.
And I want to ask this question. By this being on live, do I get in trouble for telling my story?
No. This is Rhonda. No, you're. I'm sorry. Sorry for your loss. No, it's definitely not you getting in trouble.
Look at all our other YouTubes.
Yeah, and I'm pausing because it's just a lot of grief, a lot of pain, and just the dynamics of the story. A lot of lessons in you sharing your story. The family dynamics, our youth and what they think about life. Our youth and the choices that they make, and the deadly consequences behind it, and just our Black culture in general. So, no, not at all. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep it together. We want to thank you and your wife for coming on and sharing your story. And I am certainly sorry for the loss of your baby.
Yes.
And, I really hope, like Sis Carmen said, that you can take this particular experience and go share your story with the youth.
I would love to do that. I just don't know how to set that up.
Yeah, you can get with us offline. Sis Carmen has a lot of wonderful programs and a lot of connections. But this needs to be told. It needs to be told to the youth so they can truly understand that it can happen to you and it will happen to you based on the choices you make, your surroundings, your decisions. This ain't a joke. This ain't a game. We're losing these babies at a much faster rate, even from my generation. We need this raw truth. Your family, you're definitely in my thoughts. I send you healing. I know there's nothing that I can say or do that's going to take away that pain. That's all I can say. Sorry that I'm trying to hold it together. Whew. So with that said, we want to thank you and Mrs. Wilson so much for coming on, sharing your story. We truly appreciate it. And just remember, you coming on here, the both of you being brave, coming on here, sharing your story. This goes around the world. Okay. So I want to thank you for that. And anyone that's watching or that will watch, I really ask for you to please get this video out. If you have children, if you have grandchildren, if you're an auntie, if you're an uncle, sit down with your babies. Let them listen to it. And even the ones that are, out there in the mix doing their thing, if you can catch them, have them watch it, because this is what's real. So with that, Sis Carmen, I'm going to turn it back over to you. to close out. And Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, if you all ever need anything, you know how to reach out to us behind the scenes, so we can be
Yeah.
a support system.
Is there any contact numbers?
Yeah, Sis Carmen and I will reach out to you behind the scenes via email. But yeah, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So I'll turn it over to Sis Carmen.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Ron.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
I just want to thank our special guests this evening for coming on and sharing their story about what it feels like to be a victim of the community, a victim of the injustice system, a victim of, family secrets, a victim of just a lot of different angles. And I just appreciate you guys, and I'm going to keep you guys in my prayers. And Rhonda just closes out.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to close out. Thank you all. Peace and love.
Okay.